Okay, we are live.
Great. I'm going to call to order the City of Salem Solid Waste Committee meeting held today, Wednesday, June 18th. And it's happening today, Wednesday, because tomorrow is a holiday. And I would appreciate for those counselors that are with us to go ahead and unmute yourselves and introduce yourself. I'm Linda Nishioka, Chair for the meeting.
Irving and Brown.
Deanna Glenn.
Great, thank you. We believe Councillor Varney will be here soon, but we felt that it would be best to go ahead and get started on the meeting. And so would staff like to introduce themselves?
Ryan Zink, Franchise Administrator.
Kelly Leidenbach, Budget Manager. Kelly Blake-Schmidt, Management Analyst.
Juliana Douglas, Financial Plan Manager.
Yeah.
Josh Eggleston, Chief Financial Officer.
Wonderful. So we got that. So may I hear a motion regarding the minutes from our last meeting on the special meeting for May 15th?
May 15th was regular.
Oh, excuse me, for the regular meeting, May 15th. May I hear a motion from Councillor Gwynn or Brown?
So moved. Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll go ahead and second that. It just makes it a little bit easier. Thank you. All in favor, say aye or great.
Aye.
We've got hands up. Wonderful. I think, okay, great. Thank you very much. That's been that was so moved. How do I say
That was approved.
Approved. Thank you. That was what I was looking for. We do have one person signed up for public comment. Mr. Shepke, would you like to come up, introduce yourself and speak to the organization that you're here representing and provide us testimony?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. I'm Jim Shepke. I live in Ward 2. I'm here today representing 350 Salem. And what I want to talk about today is leachate. And I have a report that 350 has done since the year 2020. Every year we make a public records request to find out how much leachate pollution is being caused by the city of Salem. And this is the latest report for you, and we'll try to get one to
Sure,
them.
we can get it to them.
Okay. So you see, the latest report shows that we took in more leachate than ever in 2024. And that goes into our sewer system. It goes to Willow Lake where it is not treated, it's diluted, and then it goes into the Willamette River. And that's why we call it leachate pollution, because we believe that it's very harmful and that it shouldn't be going into the river. But more of it went in 2024 than ever before. 21 and we're very focused on Coffin Butte landfill. That's where most of it comes from. Over 21, as you can see from the handout, over 21 million gallons from the Coffin Butte landfill went into our sewer system and into the river last year. So we're very concerned about this. We think leachate should go to a hazardous waste repository, not into our sewer system and not into the river. We're doubly concerned about this now because we hear that the city of Salem is considering doubling the leachate that we accept. And we heard from Mr. Joshi about this in an email. And what's happening is we used to take, or here you see, we took 21 million gallons last year. About 20 million was went into the Corvallis sewer system and into the river in Corvallis. Corvallis will stop doing that at the end of this year. They will no longer do that. And that's because of the pressure that they got from their community to stop doing that. So now, we're being approached by Republic Services to take the leachate that they were taking, which would be over 40 million gallons beginning next year. We're very opposed to that. Mr. Joshi says that that Salem has communicated with Republic that we're not interested in increasing our PFAS burden. That's a quote from his email, and that's good to hear. But that Republic is coming back and saying that they have a technology that will deal with that. And so
Okay,
if I can just finish, we've asked Mr. Joshi 2 questions. One is, because we're not just concerned about PFAS, we're concerned about dioxin, mercury, lead, all the heavy metals that are in that leachate. So we asked Mr. Joshi, are we asking about that? It's not just PFAS. And we also asked him if they'll share us what Republic is doing to deal with PFAS, because we're very interested in that. We have not received an answer to that
Okay.
today.
yeah, and he's not here, so I'm not sure if he's out or, but,
Calling me.
anyway, thank you. I'm gonna find out if anyone has any questions. Counselors Brown and Gwen, do you have any questions for Mr. Shepke?
I
do
do
not.
not.
Sounds like, thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Really quiet. You just did.
I think it's more on Brown's side, because we can just. Brian, do you have any questions or anything that you want to ask him?
Okay.
Well, continue to attend, we'll work on this, and thank you. I believe Mr. Yoshi knows that, you've made that ask, and hopefully we'll all get everything's.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, wonderful. And then we'll be sure to get this to them. Thank you very much. So we have no special orders of business. We have no action items. And so we are now to Ryan with management update and information.
All right. So first, just gonna talk briefly about a couple of upcoming events. One, we have Bull Beat Festival coming up. Obviously, this is way more than just solid waste or climate action plan related, but City of Salem will have a booth there, just providing some general City of Salem information. Of course, some of that will be some of the recycle right and other type of information. So that's on June 28th and 29th. I think I'm taking the last 3 or 4 hour stint of that on Sunday. So I will be there. And then Inglewood Forest Festival on August 9th. Again, I'll be providing some, I won't be there, but I know Juliana will be there. Just be providing some general city information, just meeting in the events. So, I will move on to Recycling Modernization Act or RMA update. So this is the bulk of our meeting today. I just want to make sure, can the folks online, can you guys hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Awesome.
And so can I. I'm good.
Good, thank you.
So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
I was playing Crown Rock and going to City Hall.
Letting you know, so.
But you made it.
So as all of you know, RMA, or the Recycling Modernization Act, has been in process. Actually, the bill for this passed in 2021. So it's been, since the bill passed, it's been 4 years in the making, and I think there was about 3 years of work leading up to even the bill passing. So this has been a 7-year effort And all of that work is now coming to fruition starting July 1, or at least most of that work. So there's two topics that are on the agenda. That's funding agreements and then education outreach. Those are two very vague topics. So I'm going to do a little preface here and then just there's quite a bit of information. So the handout that I sent earlier this morning is kind of has the presentation, and there's a lot more behind it. But I want to just kind of provide a little preface and then kind of a high level of things that are going to be happening over the next couple of months to 6 months and longer. So part of this is starting with, so we have the local government opportunity to recycle. There's some existing requirements that are being enhanced, shall we say, and added to as a result of RMA. So just briefly, requirements for all local governments. One, starting July 1st, we need to ensure that all commingled materials are directed to approved processors. Now, luckily, that's nothing that the city has to do directly through the work that is happening with DEQ. The current processors either are or will be permitted by July 1 to accept all the material. Also beginning July 1, we must begin collecting materials on the local government's accepted list at recycling depots. So again, that will be an ongoing effort. Let me back up also. I think I've mentioned this before, while this starts July 1, it's not like we're not turning on a light switch. It's more like a dimmer. So things start on July 1. The intent is that everything is up and running and in place by December 31st of 2025. And so this is going to be a 6-month on-ramp, if you will. Also, beginning July 1st, materials not collected as part of the commingled recycling program shall not be collected unless they're identified on that universal statewide collection list. So in other words, if, and this doesn't really apply to us, but if there was anything that we were currently collecting that is not on that list, we would no longer be allowed to or should not be encouraging folks to put those items in their bin.
I'm sorry, Ryan, I just want to note that Councillor Varney is joining the meeting.
Oh, perfect.
So just so you're aware, she'll be here. Just let her in. She's in.
All right, thank you, Councillor Varney. We have you here, so we'll make sure that she's on the
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Also, for all local governments, the last one there is any newly purchased either roll carts, bins, or containers shall contain at least 10% post-consumer recycled content. So then for any local governments with a population of over 4,000, there's an additional burden, if you will, or opportunities for them. So one is the collection of on-route materials designated for recycling starts July 1st. Now, we already have a curbside recycling program, so this will just be an enhancement. So it's kind of a soft launch, if you will, for Salem and Marion County, in that the advertising and the outreach and all that, we're not actively going to be promoting anything on July 1. But any of those items that, shall we say, we're already or are already going into those carts will now start to be, or will be able to be sorted out and collected by the processor, even though at the moment right now, they're not supposed to. So any of those items that are added will now be able to be collected. There's implementing new contamination reduction program. And this is as funding becomes available. The next one is ensuring that specific materials collected for both commercial and institutional, and also the expanded recycling drop-offs, those are being collected. And then last is using education resources created by the pro. And this has been, that's kind of a big deal, is that they're providing a lot of helpful information. And that's part of the whole plan with RMA, is that we have a unified or a statewide campaign that's being used. There may be some customization from community to community, but they provide that material and we don't have to come up with it all on our own.
May I ask, you said
Yes, please.
statewide versus county. So is that, will counties, I guess I'm just wondering who's gonna be most responsible for supporting.
There will be a statewide effort. So we will start to see, I believe in I think it's mid-August. It's actually
Okay, next slide.
on a slide coming up.
Never mind then, I'm too early, thank you.
No. So on this slide, I highlighted a couple here, the two blue ones. This is where a lot of the effort over the next couple of months are in terms of implementing those new contamination reduction programs. And I'm going to get into that here in a minute. And then those education resources. So that's where a lot of the focus is for the local government staff, being myself, Marion County, and our other partners. So let's get into the funding authorization. This is a little bit of a recap, but kind of where it's at and where those next steps are. This is this is a topic we had on last couple of agendas. So if you remember, there was full authorization, partial authorization, or no authorization. Not going to spend much time on that. There were certain different categories: transportation, contamination evaluation, reduction, contamination reduction, expansion of service, the recycling containers that we purchased. And then I added a sixth one here, which is the glass collection. And this is a pro or the producer responsible organization collection item that will continue to be collected by the haulers. Nice thing about this is that the haulers will be reimbursed $77 per ton by Circular Action Alliance for continuing to provide that service. So this could actually offset a very small amount, but offset our current collection rates and will help to minimize future increases associated with the glass.
Okay,
So kind of the next steps around this, the haulers are currently working with Circular Action Alliance to submit their primary funding agreements. And then there's addendas to that agreement, primarily for them, I guess, with the glass collection. There's the Universal Service Collection List, the depots that may be expanding or adding to their existing depots. And then so that's to collect items on the Universal Collection List. Then there's also, again, those pro collection items that may also be collected at those depots. So there's kind of a two-part to some of those depots. From the city's side, our legal team has reviewed that primary funding agreement. That's kind of a starting point for any of the funding and moving forward with that. Legal has reviewed that. Council should expect to see that on the July 14th City Council meeting to get approval, essentially authorizing the city manager to execute that agreement. Once that is executed and we supply that back to Community Action Alliance, or Circular Action Alliance, CAA, the pro, that'll give us access to, I'll help if I follow your notes here because there's some extra. Gives us access to what's called the Service Provider Portal, where we submit data for tracking materials, and then also it's the whole portal for submitting reimbursement requests and getting funding.
may I ask a question, please?
Please.
On these pro depots, recycling centers, are there any guidelines on how many there need to be, how close or far apart they are? I'm just trying to understand the convenience factor or inconvenience factor, that if any of that has been established, or do you know?
So there's a number of depots required, and I believe with the existing depots that we have, if all of those continue to be depots under RMA, that we will meet the minimum number required. In terms of location, accessibility, distribution throughout the city for access, I don't recall there being any standards on that, but I think it's definitely something we ought to be looking at moving forward.
Yeah, we want to, I would think that it would be important to make it reasonably accessible for most people. That would be my thought. Thank you.
I agree. Let's see here.
Anybody else has any questions?
So that, like, again, expect to see that coming to council on July 14th. What that will then open up for us is access to the contamination reduction funding, which is that up to $3 per capita. So for the city of Salem, that's a little over $500,000. We've been kind of delayed on kind of moving forward on that, partially because we didn't know what those contamination reduction program elements were until about a week ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that's why that's not going to council until July rather than, sometime sooner, before July 1st.
I see, yes, okay.
But and there's nothing shocking with these elements, and this is again just a high level here. The one thing that they are asking, and this may be a future action item for this committee, is that the city and local governments establish a contamination reduction goal that is consistent with the statewide goals established by the DOT. So they have two goals around contamination reduction. The first goal is 0 high-risk contaminants. So what are high-risk contaminants, you asked? Thanks for asking. Those include things like sharps, syringes, any medical waste, human or animal waste, batteries. Anyway, there's a list of things that are considered to be of high risk that can be either dangerous, explosive. So their goal is to have 0 of those contaminants.
We're gonna have to figure out where we put our dog poop and things like that.
Yes, most of those things should be just going in the trash.
Okay, in the trash, not
Yep,
recycled.
yep.
Okay, well, now I don't go there now, so.
So yeah, these are these are contaminants within recycling.
How we gonna monitor?
Well, the contamination monitoring, or contamination evaluation, that will be something that the PRO CAA will be doing on. So they're taking that responsibility on.
Right, we don't have to.
Yes, no, I'm not gonna. The other goal is overall contamination. And so currently, I think statewide, the number is 16.7% of what is collected as recyclable material is contamination. And so the goal that they have, understanding that 0 contamination, while sounds nice, it's just not attainable, certainly not. It's not affordable or economical to expect a 0 contamination, but so they've landed on a goal of only 10% contamination by 2033. So the elements that at a local level we're asked to implement. And there's, again, I have this is just a high level, but under each of these categories of A, B, and C, there's some different elements to choose from. But we're asked to pick at least one element from each of these 3 categories. So the first category, category A, being kind of that outreach side of things. So customer facing contamination reduction materials that are meant to be educational and helpful. So that's the outreach side of things. B is the feedback. So as we've provided that education and outreach, there's a feedback loop. So this may be doing some spot checking on containers, could be putting cameras which most, I think all of our haulers already have cameras, but as they're tipping or as they're picking up the carts, seeing what's in the carts and then providing feedback. So this could also be putting on the oops tags. It could be sending out a postcard or email or something like that. So it's that feedback loop to those customers. The last one, element C, is once we've gone through A and B, if there are customers who continue to have significant and repeated contamination, what are those consequences? And so this is setting either financial and or service consequences, meaning a contamination fee and or, and this is nothing groundbreaking. This is similar to what we do now, contamination fee, or we simply stop providing service. The recycling option, we give them another trash can, for example.
Might have to be putting locks on our own trash cans.
There's some interesting elements there in terms of compliance too. So with, so that's the funding and that side of things. The next is our kind of the outreach side of things, which not being a marketing major in college, I did take one marketing class, so I remember a little bit of that.
How did you do in class?
I don't.
He was
remember.
clicking his pen the whole
I
time.
passed.
Good, Brian.
I did pass.
Good job, Brian.
So luckily CAA, again, they're doing all the heavy lifting in terms of putting together the campaigns and that type of stuff. And so we have three big goals, or kind of three high level goals. One is raising recycling awareness. And we want to ensure that all our Oregonians, includes businesses, residents, and organizations, understand what can be recycled and how to recycle that properly within that system. So that includes recognizing which materials are accepted, where to put them. So whether it's your home or work or take it to a drop-off location at a depot, where can I take it? And how do you prepare those materials? They need to be clean or empty, not a half full jug of this or,
Yeah.
clean out your peanut butter or, salsa, whatever. So they need to be empty, clean, and generally dry, right? We also want to make the education accessible. This includes, creating recycling guides that are inclusive and easy to understand for diverse communities. So non-English speakers and those with disabilities. And then encouraging better habits, moving forward. Provide that clear information to increase participation. We really want to ensure more recyclables are collected and reducing that contamination.
I'm sorry, I keep having questions.
Please, that's what this is about.
I'm wondering, so there must going to be education on what to do with batteries and all of our different types of batteries, because I think it gets very confusing for people, like, what can go in the recycling, like I put in my glass, certain batteries, but you can't do other kinds of, so. And more batteries are being used for so many things. So that will all be part of this, right? Education.
Yes. And so in general, any what I would call a household battery as compared to automotive or marine battery, that kind of thing, any of your household batteries can go in your glass bin. The things like cordless power tools, I think that might be a little bit of a gray area.
Okay.
I don't know that those go in your bin,
Yeah.
but pretty much every single hardware store that I know of has a recycling program for those.
But people need to be aware that that's where they can take them.
Yep.
And now that we're having more and more lithium batteries that are in our electronic devices that people can now change out, I guess, again, I'm just thinking, okay, what are we gonna do with that?
I believe Dr. Brown had a question.
Wonderful, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. So Mr. Zink, so can you go to that previous slide that you were at on the recycle? Okay, so on this, I'm all about educating folks on how to recycle and what goes where. I think that's a great way just to not only show partnership, but obviously we really want to help those individuals, including myself, how we can do better. So my first question is this. What does the partnership look like when we go into some of our communities? For instance, are we going to be partnering with our neighborhood associations? I think that's a great place, although that's not an end all because everyone here understands that our neighborhood associations, they really attract, pretty much the same group of folks month after month. So that's my first question. What are we doing to partner with other, CBOs or different organizations in the communities on how we can just collectively come together to educate? And then the second one, it kind of goes with Chair Nishioka's plan or question in regards to lithium batteries. The past few months we've had several fires, that the fire department has had to respond to in regards to just lithium batteries catching on fire in folks' garages and whatnot. Will we have a partnership or will we be doing something with Salem FD also to kind of just like heighten the awareness and also just to educate folks? Because I know people enjoy having, a fire truck come into their community because that's always like a big thing. So what can you kind of walk us through? What does the partnership look like with other entities? And also how does the fire department play into this?
Thank you.
Great question, Counselor. To be frank, at this point, that hasn't all been worked out. I think that's a great suggestion to be working with the fire department, particularly on the battery issues. They are the ones who respond to those. They responded to the fire that was out at the MRF here a year or so ago when they had a fire out there started from a battery. And so I think that's definitely a good avenue to get that information out. I have, as far as neighborhood associations, I have already attended a couple by invite, a couple neighborhood associations, and have been answering some questions and presenting information on RMA and kind of what's coming up. That campaign and kind of that what the plan is under development, shall we say. A lot of this is very new.
Tim had a comment.
About the batteries, curbside collection does pick up all those batteries. He just asks you to take it.
Yes,
Including the lithium ion.
Even the ones that are like for power tools,
Yes.
that's,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we just have to get that information out to people.
Yeah, so all batteries, not car batteries or marine batteries, those type, but yeah, and those should be going back to your automotive store anyway. So yeah, there's eCycle, the electronic recycling already has programs, kind of like the bottle bill. There's a lot of existing recycling programs in place for those, and so that is one effort that is being done. That is parallel to the efforts of RMA. And I think we can certainly double dip, if you will, since we're going to be providing information. We can provide information on those other recycling programs as well. But right now that focus is kind of two main focuses. One is there's a launch of this thing called RMA that starts July 1. And what do we need to do? And what are the plans for launching that to get people aware that, hey, this thing is happening. And then on that long term is ultimately, again, that what's recyclable, where do I take it, and how do we reduce that contamination? And so I don't have the brain power to do all of that. And luckily CAA has provided a lot of good tools, and I'm not going into the detail of what those tools are. But I'll be working with certainly Juliana and then other folks within our PIO and our PIO team for the city, and start working with them to roll out those marketing campaigns in partnership with what the state and county will be doing.
Okay, Madam Chair, may I have a follow-up?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mr. Zink, thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to tell you what I think I heard and then definitely correct me. It sounded like to me that there is going to be some ongoing work to partner with other entities in our community, whether it be with RMA or with the county or even with our neighbor association. So it looks like that's what I heard. There's going to be some ongoing work there.
Yeah.
One of the things I want us to consider, or at least talk about, or even think about for next month, is that, the statement, make education accessible, create recycling guides that are inclusive. So I love that entire statement. The only concern is, there is a direct correlation with how much people make with their education level when it comes to recycling. Meaning you can take some different households that will make anywhere from 100 to 150 plus and go beyond. You'll find out that those households, they do a great job of recycling, A. And B, you'll also find out if you look into households that are making less than $35,000, $40,000 a year, you'll find out that the education level needs to be increased only because those are working families, really working families, meaning some of them are actually in poverty. And so their mindset is not going to be about, oh, I got to recycle this. They're just going to see it all as trash. And so I like the idea of that statement in there. I think sometimes it's always wise to kind of peel back those layers and ask ourselves, okay, what are we really saying here about this recycling is going to be inclusive, easy to understand? I think we got to peel back those layers because in the northeast corner of our city, there's a lot of poverty there. And so my concern is, how can we partner with some of those communities, A, and I think Madam Chair said this also, when it comes to the county. The county has an interest in partnering with us. I think it would be great to partner with them also, because when you look at the northeast corner of this ward, there's a lot of folks in that community that actually need some help when it comes to understanding, recycling, the education thereabout and whatnot. So I just want to make sure that we center that into the space, because there's a lot that we could do better with.
I absolutely agree. And thank you for your comments on that.
Yes, Counselor Varney, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the discussion. I'm going to push back a little bit about people just because they don't make much money, don't care about the environment. I think there are a lot of them that do. I think I've seen a lot of people that make a lot of money that don't really care because they figure they can pay for whatever. I do believe the education for everybody is really important. So as for the contamination reduction funding, is this coming, let's see, Ryan, did you say it's coming to the city? And how will the city actually be using this? Are we producing our own local education materials, or are the haulers producing those? I mean, who's doing that part?
Councilor Varney, thank you for that question. And I would say that is still TBD, to be determined. And quite frankly, I think it's going to be a multifaceted approach. So we're having some conversations with the county of contracting out some of this work. There's an organization in Eugene called Bring. You might have heard of, that does a lot of this type of work in the Eugene Springfield area that Eugene has contracted with. We're working through the county and looking at possibly having them move up this way as well, expand up into the Salem area, up in Marion County, to help with this effort. Although I think it's going to take not just that, but also work from city staff, our PIO team, concerted efforts there. And so I don't think we can expect Bring to do all of that. Plus, it's going to take work with our haulers. So I think we're going to be seeing a hybrid of city contracted work, our haulers, working with the county. I think that's going to take a lot of different methods or strategies. And again, this isn't going to happen overnight. We're starting to have those conversations again. But I just about a week ago found out what are eligible elements for that contamination reduction programming. And so now we can start having those conversations about how do we implement that and how do we move forward. So it may be that we contract with the county to do some work. We're given some haulers, reimbursing them for some work. And the city may be doing some as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. So is the continued contamination reduction funding determined or dependent on us meeting certain, I guess, goals in terms of those partnerships?
At this time, I don't believe that there's, so it's, as long as we are using the strategies that have been predetermined, or if we have other strategies that we want to use, that we can have those approved by DEQ. I don't know if there's a metric or a measurement of success tied to that funding at this point. Obviously, there's the larger goal of reduce contamination. And so there is that feedback loop of, okay, how are we doing from a reduction of contamination moving forward? And if the strategies that we're using are not successful, then the allowable strategies may change.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate it.
Just something to offer up, Public Works does have an education and outreach program team, which goes into schools.
Good.
And
That's always good.
elementary schools and middle schools. This would be an excellent, just a simple, sheet to start educating the kids. Would take that message very clearly back home, much more easily to start making the difference right there as to what should go in which garbage can.
Well, I'm also hoping that potentially Public Works or county, or those that have the similar master recycling would also be going into the schools and providing a visual education tool, because that is going to be much better than a piece of paper that may never make it to parents' eyes. But if kids are learning and they even have drills on how to do it, that would get demonstrated at home. So I think that there's much that can be done. I think right now we're just trying to figure out what those opportunities might be.
But if there's a need for match funding for the program,
Yes,
this could be easily, it's already set up.
yes,
Is what
that is
I
a
was
good
offering.
point.
Yep.
This could be help funding.
We'll be talking. What I heard is that Public Works is going to take it all.
How easily we offer up some resources whenever they need it.
Well, when it feels like a good thing, right?
It's always a good thing.
All right, good. Any other questions at the moment? Then let's-
Madam
Oh, yes,
Chair, I don't
go
have a
right
question.
ahead.
Thank you. I don't have a question, but I do feel like I need to respond to Councilor Varney's pushback. Councilor Varney, thank you. Thank you for that, because it definitely said that I need to clarify my remarks. So I appreciate that. So I do understand that you can have folks on both sides of the spectrum, whether you have people in poverty or whether you have people that make a lot of money who don't care. My intent was not to say that poor people do not care about the environment. My intent is to say that there are some people, there are some families, particularly in Ward 5, that I know that are struggling financially for ends to meet, whereby they do their part. And there's also a segment of folks that struggle when it comes to understanding what needs to go where, especially those families that are new to our community, especially those families that English is their second language. And so that's where I feel as though I need to just clarify those remarks, and not saying that they do not appreciate or respect the environment, because I understand on both sides of that. So Councilor Varney, thank you for calling that out. I appreciate it. And I'll yield it back to Mr. Zink.
Well, I will also add to the fact that places that we might try to find opportunities of education could be at some of the activity centers that new people are gathering that may have a second language as their primary language. Again, I think there's a lot of opportunities, and so what I'm hearing is that we are all excited about those opportunities to get the word out to all people that are in the area.
Exactly, Madam Chair. I'm 100% on board with that. One example would be Salem for Refugees, right? That's one
Exactly.
community organization that's doing great work. And that's also a wonderful place to partner because that's where so many of new Salemites come in and they find themselves just learning a ton. And so that would be a great place to partner. So thank you for adding that on, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you. All right, now that we've kind of distracted you, you get to move on.
No, this is exactly what we're here for. I love the conversation. So thing I'm excited about, I'm just gonna go right to the bottom, is recycleon.org /Oregon. So if we go out there and if we have time, I'll go out there and I can show you some stuff. But this is going to be the central public facing website for all things recycling and RMA for the state of Oregon. There's some high level statewide information, but then we can drill down into county and also to each city within those counties on what the recycling availability is and how to, that's a great place to get all that information. So again, from a high level statewide campaign that's being created, we'll start to see, so the official website, Recycle On, launches in July 2025. It is available right now, but they haven't really advertised it. In August, you'll start to see those first statewide ad campaigns in social media. I'm not sure all the different media that they're going to be using, but you should start to become aware of seeing that from a statewide level. Locally, the plan is to parallel that same same outreach with, again, the soft launch of that universal statewide collection list for curbside in July. And then hoping to have start our own Salem specific ad campaign, mostly on social media and other things, starting in August. That'll be a coordinated effort with the regional partners. Again, the haulers, Marion County. We're looking at working with City of Kaiser as well, kind of those three big local government entities here in Marion County. And we're utilizing the CAA provided education outreach materials. And those include, again, like social media toolkits. They have a lot of good print and signage material, press release templates, some timelines. So they've got the marketing know-how that have provided the kits and material to guide cities and local governments kind of through this effort, paralleling again what the state is going to be doing. And so it's the logo on the top is the official Recycle On Oregon logo. Some of the rest of this, I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit of highlights, kind of what those they're providing, again, like the brand guidelines. So you've got logos, you have even different types of font usage. That's their color palette. So you'll start to see these color palettes coming out. I know all kinds of fun stuff. I'm just kind of touching on. I wanted to give you kind of a variety of how comprehensive the toolkits are that they're providing. Again, there's an icon library of, hey, who knew? No diapers. You're not supposed to put diapers in recycling. Electronics, flammables, etc. They're vetting a vetted list of terminology. So, for instance, what is a recycling cart? What is a recycling bin? These are just samples of some of that vetted terminology. And then also some guides for using simple language. One example on the bottom there is, we talk about PET or polyethylene terephthalate, which is a certain type of plastic. Well, let's use simple terms like these are water bottles or soda bottles. That's what PET plastic is, or PET plastic. So there's a guide for communication when we're talking about certain types of materials. So I think that's actually the end of my presentation and kind of so again, here's just an example. There's the logo, and they're providing these logos in certainly Spanish, but I think half a dozen or more different languages. So they're doing a lot of that, the translation, and I'm trying to remember the terminology, but not just literal translation, but translating the material into culturally, so that those in different cultures and languages understand it, and not just being a literal translation of the words.
Counselor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will not be long. Mr. Zink, you may have said this earlier, and I probably just missed it. And I think Council Barney had asked the same question. Can you share with us again, what, where the county is and all this? I know it feels like in the beginning, a few months ago, that they were, at our meetings, had some input and shared a lot. Are they aware of everything that's going on, or do you have to turn around and do another presentation with the county?
Oh, no, they are very much doing this exact same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're in the middle of the fray with us.
Good to know. We like folks that are going to join us in the fray.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what I want to see is those recycled material carts that we're gonna have out, have a camera that goes right to AI, that as you drop your thing into the bin, it tells you, no, or that's approved. So that then, in any language, so that then people can be well educated and know that they're running a risk if they put a no in there.
I like that.
2033, I don't see why that couldn't be. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that we will have AI helping us. That would be an appropriate use for AI.
I like it. I don't know how much it would cost, but I definitely like the idea.
Anyway, all right.
So we have about a half hour. I'm happy to give that half hour back to the members today, but if you would like, I can
We'll continue on.
move over to the recycleon.org and just give you a very brief orientation.
I would like him to show that to us. So if that's all right with all three of you, Deanna, if raise your hand or call out if you are opposed to taking the time.
I'd like to see it.
All right, great.
Welcome to Recycle On Oregon. So on the first page here, scroll down list a little bit, immediately goes into what can I recycle? So they have some graphics here for plastics, aluminum cans, paper, magazines, cardboard, that sort of thing. Talks about empty and dry, nothing smaller than 2 inches by 2 inches. Again, basically the size of the palm of your hand. So give some high level information right off the bat. As we scroll down, hey, don't recycle. Don't put your recycling in plastic bags. No food, no liquids, no horses, no horses, but also no hoses, and no batteries. So again, Dr. Brown, you mentioned the battery. So there is an emphasis I'm noticing quite a bit on making sure that we're not putting batteries in here. We're trying to make sure that all the e-recycling, electronic recycling is going the route that it's supposed to, and not in our commingled recycling bin.
Yeah, I think what's hard for people is they go, well, if I can take this to the recycling center, so I should be able to put it in my bin.
Yeah.
And that, so people need to be educated on that fact. And that's kind of why I was asking about the batteries. There's a certain bin that we can put them in, but maybe not all of them.
And I want to follow up with that because I'm pretty sure there was 2, possibly 3 of those fires that we've had, since spring, right? And so some of those involved, the little, mobile devices, not mobile devices, but like the scooters, that kind of thing. And so anyway, I'm all for just trying to educate people, because right behind that, if we don't find a way of doing it sooner than later, then my concern, which is the concern of the fire department, is that we're going to have more of those fires. And then as you have more of those fires, and there's also the possibility of loss of life. And so that's why I think we just got to do a great job of educating folks about that.
Good point, thank you.
I hope this doesn't prevent people from knowing that these are recyclable.
Yes.
Just not in the blue bin.
Correct.
Yep. So yeah,
Someone could interpret this as, oh, batteries aren't recyclable and now I should
Put 'em in
throw
the
them
trash.
away.
and that's, I really appreciate that feedback, and that was one thing I noticed on here. So the focus of this is the commingled recycling bin that we put on the curb. For
Just
kind of
different than the
this
glass.
high level information. So yeah, it's like, so no batteries, well, what do I do? Oh, I must throw it away. Well, no, you recycle it in a different way, so I think some of this
Education.
that feedback I think will be helpful. And
We will continue to give it to you.
yes. I don't have control over what they put on here, but I will definitely provide that feedback for sure. And then there's some quick links and stuff like that down below here. So I'm not gonna, oh, they do have a timeline and some of that kind of stuff. I'm gonna go back up to the top though. You may have seen it, I passed right by it, but select your county. So here, get recycling information for your community. So right now, if we go down to Marion County, it does include, and then we have countywide and then by city. So if we go down to Salem, the search tool is the search tool that links out on Marion County's website. It's a recycle guide. There's a PDF, you've probably seen this before. Curbside recycling, mixed organics recycling, small bin, etc. I'm gonna go back. Hopefully I didn't screw this up here. Okay, there's too much stuff on my screen.
Just go to the third
Yeah,
tab you
where
got.
is it? It's hiding. I can't.
Oh, it's behind your.
Yeah, it's behind the navigation. Move this out of the way. Sorry.
That's okay. But you're right, they need to improve the website to make that clear.
Yep. So right now, the information that's out here is what can currently be recycled, is the current information, and this will get updated starting in July. So again, and then this is the mixed recycling cart. So this will all get updated. We'll, and this is the link that we link to on our own city's website. So if people go to the city's website, they'll go here. We'll want to put a link to the Oregon, the Recycle on Oregon on the city's website. So we'll start pushing folks out that direction. And so again, all of this will be updated with the, once those, once we switch over into July, over the next 6 months, this will get updated. So, but there are going to be city or county by county and city by city specifics, depending on the size of the city, the resources are available and how much they have implemented of the RMA program. So fairly easy to navigate, a high level, well, excuse me. I've shown you, has both high level and then you can drill down and get very detailed information for your community. So I'm looking forward to this being a single place to send everyone for all recycling information.
Any further questions from anyone?
I have one, Madam Chair.
Yes, go right ahead.
So Mr. Zink, so I'm pretty sure this is fairly new. When it comes to, recycling your cans, where folks can turn in their cans for, for money. I think I just read that the governor recently signed that those recycle centers, they're only going to be taking cans from 8 a.m., I believe, to 8 p.m. Is that particular recycling, I don't know, kind of recycling initiative, is that work also a part of Recycle On with Oregon, or is it completely separate?
That is completely separate. So that's related to the bottle bill.
Got it.
And it's adjustments or amendments to the bottle bill specific to, I watched a little bit of one of the public hearings or work sessions on that. I think there's some efforts to modify behavior in terms of the use of those funds once the bottles have been turned in. Trying to reduce some drug activity and that type of thing.
Right. Okay.
But
I
yeah,
just wasn't sure.
completely
Yeah.
separate effort from RMA.
Thank you
And
for
I-
letting me know that.
And because that's a bottle bill and those are by state, so some states don't have them and others do. I think that's partly why, and some states have it more, they pay more, you have to pay more when you buy it and you get more when you turn it in, so that's a state matter. So this is like all the states. But until it gets formally what's interesting, I find, is that because we can drill down into our own county and city, but as this progresses, hopefully everything will be pretty uniform throughout the country
Eventually,
eventually.
yeah. So
2033, I think. So anyway, but thank you. Good question. Yes, Counselor Varney.
Thanks. This may seem like a silly question, but I was looking at a couple of the different pictures for the cans that can be recycled, the aluminum cans. And the one for the county had the labels all removed and said labels can be processed separately or something. And then another one I saw, I think earlier, had the labels on the cans. So where are they moving with that? Because if you have to take the labels off the cans, that's just another step that's going to get in the way of people wanting to take the time to recycle.
that's a great question. So for like your soup cans and food cans, that sort of stuff, you can do either. So you can leave the labels on, and those will get sorted. They're metal, the steel. So those will get sorted by the electromagnetic sorting a portion of it. And then the paper, the labels, when those get all melted down, the label's just going to burn away.
Okay.
If you want to take the extra time and effort to pull the label off, and you can get a piece that's bigger than 2 inches by 2 inches, and put that in your recycle bin as a clean paper, assuming that you didn't get any soup on it, or the label didn't get wet when you rinsed out the can, or whatever else, and you want to go through that effort, then yes, you can definitely do that too.
Okay, thank you.
So Counselor Varney, remember the good old days when you had to wash the can, remove the label, flatten the can, and then take it somewhere?
Exactly. Yeah, I remember doing that. I would stand on the can to flatten it. I'd put the lids kind of inside of it when I flattened it. Yeah, those were what, the 70s?
Yes, they were.
You'll often
Yep.
see the infographics of that because a lot of companies have trademarks on their brands. And so if you're seeing especially like locally made,
So there helps.
they take that off so then they don't get sued.
Got it. All right. Okay, well, thank you. All right, anything else? So do you want to just speak quickly on 1067?
So I will, just very briefly, we had a special meeting. We had lots of conversations about Senate Bill 1067, which was regarding flow control within Marion County, bill specifically on that. That bill is dead. So no more conversations. I know there was an item that going to City Council that was removed. And there was a request to have a further vote on specifically on Senate Bill 1067 on the legislative position on that. But with that bill being dead, not moving forward, there was no point to continue that conversation. So
So,
just want to give you a quick heads up on that.
so that's why it wasn't on the agenda and we don't even need to have it here. Yes, Counselor Brown. Go ahead, Counselor Brown.
Oh, thanks, Madam Chair. So Mr. Zink, with that bill being dead, do you know if there's any potential thought for it coming back for short session?
I have not heard anything.
Okay, thank you.
But we'll be ready if it does. Good. All right, well, if there's not anything else, then we get, what, 15 minutes more time than we thought we would have, whatever it might be. Thank you all for coming. I will adjourn this meeting, but I will finish off saying our next meeting will be on Wednesday, July 17th from noon, right here, or right there on the screen. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.